Why is it so dangerous when cold-blooded animals get too cold? Well, let's start with the backstory. Imagine you are driving down a nice, quiet suburban road, minding your own business. Would you ever believe that it's possible to get a call out for a snake that is literally on the side of the road? Not in a house, not on a farm, not in a barn, but just on the side of the road? Well, that's exactly what happened here in Johannesburg, where a pedestrian had found this bucket under these bushes, and inside the bucket was this beautiful little snake. You can only imagine their surprise when they looked inside the bucket, and this is what they found. One of the problems at this particular moment in time, however, was that Johannesburg was experiencing a cold snap, where overnight temperatures were around freezing. Now, this is never good for reptiles, as the cold really makes them inactive, and if they aren't in suitable environments, then they could actually die. Needless to say, when Norm got there, it wasn't a pretty sight. The snake was lying upside down in this bucket, and its body was freezing cold. Norm knew that he had to move quickly, but at the same time be very careful when removing the snake, as he certainly didn't want to injure it. The body was so cold that the poor snake couldn't even move, so he carefully managed to get the snake out of the bucket. All along, just making sure that the snake wasn't going to endanger him or any of the spectators. At the same time, he also had to inspect the snake for any potential injuries. We never knew where the snake came from, nor the history as to how it got to the side of the road. This particular snake is called the ball python, which is an exotic species in South Africa. It is most likely that this one is a pet that had either escaped or perhaps even been stolen, and may well have been injured along the way. All through this inspection, it was very obvious that the snake was literally freezing to death. It wasn't flicking its tongue, and it was even battling to hold its head upright, which is never a good sign. So, the only thing to do was to warm the snake up. When you're trying to warm up an animal, be it a human being or any kind of animal, it's really dangerous if you warm it up too quickly. Applying a gentle heat relatively slowly is a much safer option. So, what Norm needed to do here was put the snake up against his skin and slowly let his body heat warm it up. Now, you're obviously not going to try this at home, are you? Once the snake was against his skin, he also wrapped as many layers around it as possible for additional insulation. Norm says he can remember how freezing cold it was to the touch, especially when he put that ice-cold snake up against his tummy the first time. But eventually, there was a little bit of movement, and we knew that we were on the right path to saving this snake's life. The main difference between cold-blooded animals and warm-blooded animals is that cold-blooded animals have to rely on their environment to regulate their body heat. In a cold snap, and in a bucket thrown on the side of the road, there's really no way for a snake or any other reptile to regulate its own body temperature. As I said before, that's incredibly dangerous, and the animals normally die. In this particular case, however, I think we were lucky as we managed to get the snake from this horrible environment in the freezing cold to a nice, warm, enclosed environment where it had food and shelter. As this is an exotic species, we are obviously unable to release it into the wild. And whilst it is legal to keep exotic species without a permit in South Africa, I urge you to be cautious when doing so, as if that particular animal escapes, it either faces a horrible death by not being able to adapt to our environment, or the animal becomes invasive and starts harming the local wildlife. Thank you for watching this short video on how we rescued an ice-cold, cold-blooded animal that was on the brink of death in freezing weather. It was a close call, but with just the right amount of warmth and care, we were able to bring it back to life. I'm happy to report that it's now thriving in its new home, fit, healthy, and ready for a fresh start. Seeing these incredible creatures get a second chance is what makes this work so rewarding. If you enjoyed this rescue and want to see more amazing reptile relocations, hit that notification bell so you never miss an adventure. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.